Different types of programming paradigm. Then we will move towards Python. Today we will learn the basics of Python like variable, constants. We will study about that. Okay, no problem. So, what is programming? It is a way of solving a problem. Now, why programming was needed? What are programming languages and why we need them? Just like if I want to assign a task to you, like I want you to solve a question. So I have to communicate in a proper language that you can understand easily, right? Like if I ask you solve an equation like what is 2 plus 2? I want that answer from you. And if you understand my words and my language, you can easily solve that. Similarly,
Yes.
if we want computer to perform our tasks, then we need a way that a computer can understand easily. Just like humans, computer need their own language to understand. The language that is understood by the computers is only zeros and ones. And we don't have knowledge how we can interpret our words in zeros and ones that is directly understood by the computer. So that's why we need programming language so that the computer can perform our tasks. Now there are two types of programming. We have high level and we have low level programming. Now as the name suggests, high level programming languages are the language that are closer to human and far from the computers. And the low level programming languages are that are close to computers and far from humans. So what we do, we use high level languages to communicate with them. Now, you have learned the basics of Python or any other language. You might notice that the variables, that the things that are used in that language are similar to English. That is understandable by the humans. But the problem is the computer can even don't understand Python directly. Now, for example, let's suppose you are Chinese speaking and I am English speaking. You don't know English and I don't know Chinese. So what we do? We have a language translator between us who will translate our language so that we can understand each other. Similarly, the computer will use compilers and interpreters to compile our words so that they can easily understandable by the. That's why we use IDEs that are used integrating developmental interface or environment. Such kind of tools that are used to write programs. So they will compile the program into zeros and ones, and then they will directly understandable by the computer. So that was what is programming language, why we use programming language, and what is IDE. The tool that we use to write a program or code is known as IDE. Now we have different types of programming. We have procedural programming, we have modular programming, multiple are there for solving our problem. Today we will learn the basics of this, and after that, when we will use of Python, then we will deeply study these types. Now the first one is procedure. Now what does it means? You might aware of functions. Let's suppose I ask you to calculate or add two numbers. and I ask you again and again. Like I asked you to add two numbers. So what you have to do? So in simple words, you will again write two numbers. Like you will write 2 plus 3. Let's suppose it is the first number. The answer will be 5. Then I ask for two numbers. Then you will add. So what will happen? You have to again write a specific piece of code to add two numbers. What if I write a logic in such a way that I just need to give, just like for example, what you do on calculator, you just enter two numbers and the calculator will calculate the answer for you, right? So similarly, what if you write a logic in such a way that you don't need to add again the plus operator, again you need to add the two variables in the program and then you have to print the result. What if we create a logic in such a way that the user itself will give two numbers and within the seconds the result will be printed automatically? To implement that logic, we use functions. The functions are used to write just like this. This is a function that is written in Python. Here, we write a function of add numbers. I know you will not understand what are functions right now. These are just basics. After awaiting a Python, we will study deeply about functions. So what this function will do, whenever the user will enter two numbers, it will automatically print the result instead of writing the whole lines. Like for example, I just need to change the numbers. After changing the numbers, the result will be print automatically. Previously, what you have to do? That time you have to write that numbers again and again. Means you have to again write the numbers and then the answer was print. Now the question is why we use functions. Now, if I ask you to add numbers almost 10 or 20 times, what you will do? You will add two variables. Then after declaring that two variables, you will initialize them with the numbers and then you will print the result. And if I ask you to do that 20 times, then you have to 20 times declare the variables, then you have to initialize them and then you have to print the result. What will happen? It will increase the line of code, means the LOC. So if the LOC is increased, it will hard for us to optimize them. It will take more storage. It will take more time to execute. To reduce that, we use functions if a task have to be performed on repetition basis. Then after that, we have functional programming.
Miss, I had a question.
Yes.
These PowerPoint presentations will be sent to us, yes?
Yes, I will send you later after the ending of this lecture. This will be sent to you
Sure.
along with the recording of this lecture.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, functional programming is similar to, but in this procedure, we just only write one function. But in the functional programming, you can write multiple functions. Just like what a calculator. Calculator can add, calculator can subtract. In short, calculator can perform all the arithmetic operations. Similarly, if we use functions, you can write different functions. A function for adding two numbers, a functions for adding subtracting two numbers. Then in the main function, you can give the numbers as the parameters to add or subtract. Now, what are parameters? We will study that later. So that is the functional program. So if you want to multiply two numbers, we can create a function or write a function for multiplying two numbers. We will study arrays and loops in that. Now, we have another type of program that is object-oriented program, in which we use classes and objects. Okay, so we will study these things later. Now, coming towards the programming language constructs, the most important, or you can say the main topic of this lecture. Now, in Python, we use variable, constants, operators, and control structures. So I have brought this Google Colab. You have to click on this first link here. Just like this. So now this is the interface that will be appear on your screen after clicking on it. So if you want to learn how we can work with different uh, environments, how we can learn this, so you can, in that case, you can just learn this documentation. If not, if you don't want to learn about that, what we have to do whenever we want to write the Python code, you have to click here on file. Then here to open a new notebook in your drive, you have to make sure that you have a Google account and you are a Google Drive user. So after creating a Google account, it will automatically create a new notebook in your Google Drive. Understood? You have to understand these steps very carefully.
Yeah, okay.
You can see that this interface will be open in front of you after you have created your Google account. Now, if you want to change the name of the file like this, so here you will click and you will, let's suppose we will write, we are studying about the basics of Python. So I will write basics. As my, so I have renamed this file. Now, if you want to add the text before writing, just like the comments. Now, what are comments? For example, I have write my code and I want the other users to understand what does each line of code means. So I will write. So here I will write a text. Like for writing a text, we use the hash symbol for writing the HTML text. So let's suppose we are studying about variables. So I will write variables here. Like this. So this is done. Now we have write texting. So if you want to add the code, we will write code. Now you can see the variable is highlighted as the heading. And if we want to run this code, we can click this on run button. Okay. So if we click here on this dot button, you can add a new section if you want to add, or if you want to create a folder, you can click here and do that. Just if you want to check the table of contents, you can click there. Then here, this section will contain all the variables, like what kind of variables you will declare, the type and shape will be mentioned here. Then here you can see all of the files that you have. So this is how you can even, if you want to add your own code snippets, you can also add that here. So you can explore more. And if you want to save the file, see, you can also check its location in the drive. If you want to open a new file, you can click on this open notebook. If you want to delete that file, you can also delete by move to trash. If you want to save a copy in your drive, then it will also save. If you want to even save or download to your local computer, you can also download with the extension of py or ipynb. Okay. So these are the basics of this Google Colab that you must know about. And if you want to explore more, you can also explore. So coming back towards the lecture, hope so you will be uh, aware of this Google Colab. We can use multiple IDEs, but the benefit of this Google Colab over the other is that we can import multiple libraries in. We don't need to add or download a bunch of code to include that libraries. The Google Colab itself have built-in libraries of Python. So that's why we use them. So the first thing is how we print something on the screen. How we can write something. So if we want to delete a section, we can also delete. So here in Python, if we want to print something, we use the print state. like this. So I will write print, then this, then double quotes. We will print hello world. Then click on this run button. See, the output is printed here. So this is how, if you want to display something on the screen, then this print statement is used. Okay. Now, let's add another section here. So that was, let's edit this one first. From the edit button, you can edit your variable. So we'll learn about print statement. So we will write print here.
Miss, I had a
Okay.
question. So the parentheses are important, yes? So if I write without the parentheses over here, like print and then just the 66 and 99, hello world,
Yes.
it'll show me an error. So I just realized, yeah, okay, parentheses. I have to write with parentheses in both
Okay.
sides. Yes. It doesn't come automatically, does it?
We have two types of errors in programming language, like syntax error, logical error, and runtime. Every programming language have its own syntax. For example, let's suppose in English, you have to write the words in a specific way to make a sentence. Like the first letter of a word is capital, first line. Similarly, the programming language have its own syntax. So it is the syntax of the Python that to print anything, you have to use the parentheses. If you don't use, then there will be a syntax error. We have three types of error. First one is the syntax error that occurs if you make any grammatical mistake here. Just let's suppose if I remove this and if I try to run, what will happen? See, it will indicate that the line 1 have incomplete input, and it also highlight that we have a syntax error. So we will fix it. So they
Wait, so
also,
can you repeat what the syntax error is?
if we go against the syntax or the way of writing a specific statement, then this error will occur. For example, let's suppose now you are aware of English, right? If I write in this way, if I write this is a table, but instead of this is a table, I write table is this. So it will make no sense. Similarly, if I write the wrong syntax, now let's suppose the spelling of the table is TABL, right? What if I write BATLA? The syntax will be changed. The word will be changed. Similarly, in programming, if we make any mistake, then that will be the syntax error. Everything have a syntax. What is syntax? A rule of writing something. For example, for printing something on the screen in Python, there is a rule that we have to use the print statement. And in print statement, we have to follow some rules. Firstly, there should be this brackets. Then this parenthesis should be there. There should be double quotes. Any output that you want to display should be written in double quotes, just like this. Now, for example, instead of this, if I remove this quotes and I run this line again, see, there is again the syntax error, invalid syntax. Syntax means rules. We are going against the rule of this language. if we want to print something, then we must have to follow these rules that with the print statement, there should be double quotes too. Okay. See, perhaps you forget a comma. Similarly, you must have to follow the syntax of every state. Understood? Now, if I run this again, so there will be no. Any question? Any doubts?
No question or no doubt. But are we gonna go to the next type of error? Yes, print error. I think so. That was it. That was it.
Second type of error is,
Something like that. I'm not sure. So the first one is syntax error, and what's the other error?
I'm explaining. The second type of error is runtime. The error that occurs during the execution of a program. Means we are executing something and the error occurs. Okay. And we have another type of error that is logical error. Now, what is a runtime error? If we take an example, for example, if we incorrectly capitalize a variable or a function. For example, in programming language, for declaring a variable, we have to follow some rules. That the first name of the variable should be not capital. We should not use underscore in the first place. So multiple rules are there. So if we
Is there a list for these rules, like somewhere where I can see the rules
yes, I will
list if it's
explain that.
possible?
Then we will jump towards the variables. So there are 32 rules that I will share with you, so you can go through that. Okay. So just for explaining the error, I am just taking that rules as an example. Now, that kind of errors are hard to find. So that errors are found at the compilation phase. Now, the compiler or this IDE will not highlight that there is a error. You have to find yourself. It will give you incorrect output until you have resolved that error. Okay, so we will learn about that error when we jump towards the variable. Now we have a third kind of error, that is the logical error. It is also not detected by the compiler. Now, for example, we know that we cannot divide a number by 0. Like if I write that 5 divided by 0, is it possible? Can we divide 5 by 0? No, we cannot divide
No.
any number by 0. If we do that, we will get infinity as the answer. So that kind of errors are called logical errors. That happened just because of the programmer on mistake. So these kind of errors are also not detected by the compilers or IDEs. Okay. So that's why the only error that are detected by the IDEs are only the syntax error. So if you encounter yourself in logical error or runtime error, then you have to find it yourself. So as you practice more, we will learn more about these errors. So these are the 3 types of errors that we study in programming language. Now moving towards the variables, errors are clear?
Yeah, it's all clear. Yes.